For me, this is real energy. This is not an energy shot. Energy shot is that thing you get at the gas station that fucks you up, we were talking about. But this is real energy.
That'd be a funny way to twist it. Just call it real energy.
It's because
that's actually a fun you're good at this. Yeah.
But the reason why real energy is a good positioning for this is because it immediately creates an antithesis, and then you have an or situation in the customer's mind. Do I have? You didn't say it.
Yeah.
The implicit assumption is that's fake energy, and then this is real energy.
Love the operation. Everyone I've been on your team is impressive through and through.
Great. Okay, stop. Let me explain what I meant there by an or situation, because this is critical if you ever build a brand, especially if you're trying to build one in a very noisy market where it's already saturated. When brands come into a market that is extremely busy, like Perfect Ted here, they came into the energy market. One of the most important strategies you could adopt, which I actually mentioned to them in one of our first ever conversations many years ago, was how do you create an or situation in your consumer's mind? And what I mean by that is everybody in the industry currently stands for something. So everyone in the industry right now is like Red Bull. How do you, in your customer's mind, convince them that you are something completely different? And how you do that is by looking at the messaging and the values of the current incumbent, the person who is currently most successful, and presenting yourself in every way as the direct opposite of that. And some great examples through history are like Brewdog, for example. Brewdog's whole marketing strategy was to present themselves as the opposite, the antithesis of commoditized beer. So they would take beer to a field and blow it up. And what they're doing there is they're saying to potential beer drinking customers, you are either a Carling beer drinker or you are a Brewdog drinker. You can't be both. When the values of those two companies are clear, when the ethos, the personality, when the brand stands for something, it stands against something. So the way that you create an or situation in your customer's mind and give them a choice is to really stand for something. And Brewdog back in the day really stood for punk, it stood for independence, it stood for being edgy, etc. And even Perfect Ted have done a very similar thing. If you look here on the can, it says healthy energy. It is green, it is bright, it is Gen Z, but it says healthy energy. Now, if they're healthy energy, what does that make the rest of the category? So they too are creating an or situation. The customer walks down the aisle in the supermarket and says, okay, I can have healthy energy or something else. And that's really why it's so important if you're a disruptive new brand in a market to stand for something. Because if you clearly stand for something and that thing you stand for is of value in your customer's mind, you will create a winning or situation where they either can have healthy energy or punk beer or the opposite. And if the positioning is good, then you'll probably win. And in Perfect Ted's case, I think they're probably the fastest growing drinks brand of their type RTD across Europe. And they were recently valued at $200 million, which is insane. Okay, I've got a meeting right now with a company from Dragon's Den that hasn't actually aired yet, so I can't show you their face or their name. They are a company that put digital prints onto clothing, and they want to know if they could be using AI to do exactly that. And would their customers actually care? They're scared that they'll lose their customers if their customers know that AI made the digital image that goes onto the clothing that the customer then buys. And this is really important for their business because this is the difference between their business being profitable or not profitable. Right now, the business is unprofitable, and one of the key reasons why is because they're spending so much money on getting digital images made. But now in a world of AI, they don't need to spend that money anymore. My job is to convince them that actually AI is their friend in this case. And actually, I don't think their customers care that much as to how the image was made. They care that the image was good. And often there's so much romance, especially when innovation shows up, around how things are done. But I think in this case, the customer is attached to the end product and not the process. I'm going to go talk to them now. Come with me.
If we did that with customers, so let's say we used 4 like AI generated images for one customer, would you be upfront about the fact that it was AI generated, or would you just not mention it?
Someone came to my office 10 years ago, and he's a billionaire, and he told me the story of the record store industry. And he told me this record store CEO said to him, we'll always be in business because people love music. He was right. People loved music. People didn't love getting in their car, going in the rain, standing in a queue, and Apple Music came along and killed them. You come back 5 years, 6 years later, their business is dead. And I say that story because it reminds me to always question why people are coming for me. And when you ask people why their customers buy from them, it tends to be really romantic. But actually, you figure out what wiped them out. They find out that it was actually some unchangeables: speed, convenience, price, and quality.
I very frequently get the question, what's going to change in the next 10 years? And that is an interesting question. It's a very common one. I almost never get the question, what's not going to change in the next 10 years? In our retail business, we know that customers want low prices. It's impossible to imagine a future 10 years from now where a customer comes up to me and says, Jeff, I love Amazon, I just wish the prices were a little higher. Because you can build a business strategy around the things that are stable in time.
So I always try and remove romance, because the world is changing so quickly, and romance is what The Innovator's Dilemma, which is a book you have to read, shows through history. The incumbent that dies, the person who's the most successful that dies, is the one that focuses on getting marginally better at what they're doing now and overlooks or underestimates a disruptive innovation coming from underneath. And some kid in their bedroom with no romance and no preconception of history, they always go for the disruptive innovation. And just a last sentence on this is, they looked at all of these industries from digging excavator to microdiscs, and they asked the question, why is it never the case that the incumbent takes part in the disruptive innovations? Because of what you've described. There's a fear of losing your existing customer base, which keeps you trapped in your current model. Yeah. So you have to run almost tangential experiments to disrupt yourself. So 100%. There is a secret team here at Flight that I've never told the world about, that I'm about to tell you about because it's so relevant to that meeting that you just saw. So this team here is called FlightX, and it comprises of roughly 5 people. They aren't at their desks right now, but I'll put a photo of them up on the screen right now so you can see. And everything I just said there about how history shows that in business you get killed or you become successful by being naive enough to disrupt the incumbent is why FlightX exists. Our business is going to get killed by some kid in their bedroom that doesn't know the rules of the industry, doesn't give a fuck, and is scrappy and fast and experiments. So can we build a team that act like a kid in their bedroom, even though the company now has more than 100 people? And the way that you do that is you create a sub-team that have a different set of rules. They don't have the same processes, the same sign-off, the same bureaucracy. They have their own budget and they report directly to the founder. And this is what Thomas Watson did at IBM. He created a team called the Wild Ducks, which I remember Mark Andreessen talking about. Let's run the clip.
They had this category of people they called Wild Ducks. And this was an idea that the founder, Thomas Watson, came up with. They were the people who could make new things. And there were 8 of them. And they got to break all the rules, and they got to invent new products. They got to go off and work on something new. They didn't have to report back. They got to pull people off of other projects to work with them. They reported directly to the CEO. They got whatever they needed. He supported them in doing it, and they were glass breakers. And and they showed up. The one in Austin at the time was this guy Andy Heller, and he would show up in jeans and cowboy boots, and it was fine for Andy Heller to do that, and it was not fine for you to do that, right? And so the expectation is they deliver, right? Their job is to invent the next breakthrough product, but we IBM management know that the 6,000 person division is not going to invent the next product. We know it's going to be crazy Andy Heller in his cowboy boots. That model worked for 50 years.
And so this is exactly why I created the FlightX team. And they are currently working on killing our business. They're trying to disrupt the business from within. I remember hearing a story that Steve Jobs did a similar thing, and he actually put a pirate flag on a building next door and moved into that team, the Macintosh team, who were focused on disrupting the core business. And that's pretty much what we've done here. If you don't kill yourself, some kid in their bedroom right now is going to kill you. So be the kid in the bedroom. That's FlightX.
You well?
How are you, mate?
See you, man.
How are you?
Yeah, really good.
Healthy,
yeah.
happy?
I'm happy, I'm healthy. I'm always a little bit tense before these events because I'm not like you. I'm like, I want to get done.
We just did Belgium, and I was saying, it's funny because before I went up on stage, I realised that I didn't feel anything. So before I went up on stage, I was trying to hyperventilate myself. I was like,
And make me feel something.
I heard about this law called, and it basically says that if you are understimulated, you perform badly. If you're overstimulated, you perform badly. So you need to be like middle stimulated. And it's this curve, this bell curve, where it says like optimal performance happens there.
Right.
So before I went up on stage at Belgium, I was thinking like you feel 0.
Really?
Like now I feel 0.
Think back, when was the last time you felt the
Diary live shows? That's when I really felt.
at the live show?
Yeah.
Who's an expert in culture, leadership, and inequality. So if we could just give them a warm welcome to the stage.
I think one thing that I've never said that I want everybody to hear is like, don't let LinkedIn tell you what your company culture should be. Don't let LinkedIn tell you you're a bad person because you have certain expectations. I think that's really, really important because, as founders, ultimately, you have to pay the price for a failed business and for things going wrong. So I really want to lift that weight off founders in particular, because there was a lot of signaling that went on that I just think was really, it was bad for everybody. It created cowards, like running businesses. I was a coward for a long period of time in my career. And then what I'd see in my portfolio companies is this phenomenon I called quiet dissatisfaction, where the founder's coming to me and complaining about their team. And I'm saying, have you told them what you expect? Nah. I'm like, so you're telling me about Jenny on the reception, she's not meeting your expectations, but Jenny does not know your expectations. Yeah. We're not having another conversation until you go and have a conversation with Jenny about your expectations, so Jenny can figure out if she wants to meet them, and if she can meet them, or if she wants to leave. Much of the game in business is saving time. You come to learn that, I think further along in my career, I was like, actually, the cost I'm paying here repeatedly, that's the highest price, isn't a failed experiment. It's actually the time I'm wasting making a decision or avoiding a decision or avoiding a conversation. So the newer version of me in the last 5 years is just orientated to the most optimal thing that will save our company time. Because if we can save time, we can do more.
Thank you so much.
Great.
I'm there all week. Nice to meet you, sweetheart. Pleasure. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Take care.
When you're talking about brands and rarity, like what do you think about, for example, Represent? That they've obviously hit this point in a curve when they're everywhere and everyone knows them, and does that suddenly devalue because they're not rare anymore? Like, do you think all brands are going to reach that point?
I'm so fascinated by how Nike managed to be mass scale but hold cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll ask Ben. I'll ask George. Ben runs Gymshark and George runs Represent. I'm gonna send both a voice note asking them this question, and I'm gonna play it now.
It's interesting. I actually think that we're pretty well insulated from that whole too mainstream to be cool thing. The reason for that is we're not a fashion brand, right? We're performance and we're utility. Fashion brands have to stand for something stylistically, which means sometimes they'll be in trend, sometimes they won't be. But, a pair of, say, 5-inch Gymshark performance shorts is never really out of trend. They just work. With us, when you kind of sit at the intersection of performance with a bit of trend and aesthetic laid over the top, you're way more protected from the curse of mainstream adoption that a pure fashion brand can actually be sort of killed by.
Hello mate, hope you're well. When I think about maintaining relevance at scale, what is often obvious to do is sort of expand that product beyond that, go into fashion and go into sport and go into all of these different things. Whereas for us, we're really remaining anchored on building the best gymwear in the world. That is our clear focus. What we do is we retain a really narrow product position and then try and build our business through organic growth, but also retail stores and things like that as well. And if I was to give advice to anyone, it would be pick something specific and just focus on being the best in the world at it.
I've done this for 15 years, and when we eventually started getting some real global traction and crazy amounts of growth, this question was actually the first thing that I asked my team, and I asked it every single day of trade. So I think, number one, stay true to who you are, what you stand for. Exceeding expectations and constantly improving wherever we can is something that I hold true to me. As a D2C brand, it's easy to control the narrative through your socials and your website, but once you step into retail, you have to be very disciplined and direct with being in the right stores. So to me, it's more of a physical thing that needs to happen when you get to a certain size. You've got to show off that product, and I do truly believe we have the best product in the world. So I want flagship stores that live and breathe and smell and touch and bring that Represent brand into the customer as soon as they walk in. And then I'd say my last point is to remain focused on where that growth came. A lot of time we can think we're unbreakable, and then we take our focus away from the very thing that actually got us there. So I'd say try to remain great at what you're great at, but also test. I'm not going to say don't test, because I think everyone has to be testing and learning new ways.
Will has set the team a goal on Behind the Diary to get to 1 million subscribers, and we're going to try and do it within 12 months. For so many of you, it's your favourite channel of ours, so if that is the case, please can you vote with your fingers and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. It's completely free of charge, doesn't cost you anything at all. And hopefully invest more and more in this team to make sure that we upload every single week. Every single Sunday at 6 p.m. is our goal. And the one way that you can increase the probability of that happening is just by hitting the subscribe button. If not me, please do it for Will and Alex and Andrew that now does the animations on this channel. We'd really appreciate it, and we love making this so much. So.
Great one. Mandy is 57. Okay. She says, I started my business at 42. What advice would Steven give to older entrepreneurs? P.S. I think I'm 32 in my head.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is I was really unhappy about your use of the word older entrepreneurs. And I know where it comes from because there is a stigma in society and there's like very real prejudices, so it's a very real thing. But I want you to make that their problem, not yours. I was a young black man starting in business with an afro, going into rooms with people that did not look like me. I was well aware that they might have prejudices against me, that they might be judging me in some way. But I was also very clear that that was their problem and not mine. I was not going to allow it to be mine. And because the psychology and the science on stereotype threats is profound. If they ask a black person, for example, to write their race on a test before they do the test.
Think about what happens when a test score begins to define a person.
And there's a stereotype about that particular race and that subject matter, people do significantly worse on the test.
Psychologist Claude Steele calls this phenomenon stereotype threat.
If they don't write their race on the test, then they do the same as everybody else. And the same applies for gender. They've done these studies, I wrote about them in my book.
We don't have to believe in a stereotype. Merely knowing that others could judge us because of our social identity is enough to distort our performance.
And it just goes to show that actually a lot of the time the limitations are being applied by ourselves on ourselves. Even though I know discrimination's a very, very real thing, I'm still gonna give 110%. And I'm gonna try and maybe counteract some of your prejudices and actually your lower expectation of me, and then where I deliver is gonna create impact. Because the gap between where someone expected you to be because you're older or because you're this or you're that, and where you came in was impact. And I would see that. I'd walk into a room and no one was paying attention. And then as a young, I was so far above their expectations of me that they were queued at 18 years old. I remember going to that conference in London. They queued at the end of the stage to give me business cards. And that's how I raised my money for my first company at 18 years old, the one that guy Chris worked for. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Can't you see that I'm in my element? I might just decide to slide on my enemies. I go along on a glide for the hell of it. I bring a different vibe when I'm stepping in.
Editing can feel chaotic, especially when you're racing to meet a deadline. So today, Descript have challenged me to complete this week's edit in a speeding rally car. Oh my days! So obviously, cutting down long speaking clips can be pretty stressful, but with Descript's Remove Gaps feature, I can cut it down in seconds. Oh my god! Descript is so easy to use that Andy, the rally driver, has actually offered to finish this edit for me. Oh my god!
I find it easier to edit, you do to drive.
Descript's text-based editor means that Andy can just highlight the best parts of Steve's talk and cut them out straight away. The last bit I need to do from this talk section is make sure that Steve sounds great. Now with the studio sound feature, I can enhance the audio perfectly with one button, no plugins required. So it's super easy. Sounds pretty good. Descript have done a great job. Oh my god, last little bit, done. So I stepped into this car with a 45-minute clip, and with Descript, I've edited it down to 1 minute long. Take the chaos out of editing. Start creating today with Descript. Link in description below.
Much of our return of the Behind the Diary is to really give you a full picture of what it takes to run a podcast, build businesses, and all of those things in between. I sincerely hope that there's people listening to this who are at the very start of their own journeys and they're trying to figure out a few of the big questions I was trying to figure out. I guess question one is, what does it take? So what does it take to pursue your dream or to achieve your dream? Question two, what information do I need to get there? And then question three, what does it look like when I get there? I do wonder sometimes. I think to myself, how long are you going to do this for? Like, I did that whole like social chain phase between the age of like 18 and 27. I thought like you get money and you relax and you chill out and you enjoy it and you just lose it. You just lose the chip on your shoulder. You just lose the fight. But I'm so fucking fired up at the moment. It's ridiculous. And I have been for, I'd say, a couple years now. I feel like I'm possessed. Like, I'm so fucking focused.
Since you woke up, you're working. It's insane. This is insanity.
You think I'm insane?
I think you're insane.
For me, this is fun. For me, this is my fun. If I'm not in work, this is what I'd be doing if you weren't here.
I know, if I'm not here, you will just
and then
like
you text me and then I'm like,
working.
and you're like, and you wonder how I can just be like, I didn't reply, because I'm like, especially if I get into something. Yeah, I've been hypnotized, literally. I call it being possessed. And I understand how weird this sounds to people that don't understand me, but I just love building businesses. I just love doing this. I love what I'm doing. And so people that aren't like me, don't have the wiring in the head like me, will look at this and go, oh, it's so sad. Like, he's such a sad person. And he's promoting hustle porn, and he is encouraging people to not have work-life balance. Like, I completely understand. I'm not encouraging you to do fucking anything. I'm encouraging you to do whatever it is that makes you happy. On Saturday at 1 a.m, the thing that currently makes me happy is doing this. It is building my business. That is the thing that genuinely makes me happy. Not like I'm saying it so that it looks good on camera. Genuinely makes me happy. This is relaxing.
It's relaxing to you. You're a weirdo, babe.
A weirdo. I find it relaxing to do my work. I find it relaxing. It's like, so I just find it fun. I was gonna say then, I don't want to live like this forever. It's not to say I'm not happy, because I feel really happy. It's that I can't live like this forever, because I'm coming into that season of life now where I want to have kids. I want to have 4, 5, 6 kids, as many kids as I possibly can. I won't be able to do this forever, which is okay. You move into different seasons of life, but maybe there's a part of me that's telling myself that I'm really going to go for it for this season of life, really try and lay great foundations, and then maybe things will change. Maybe I'll change things a little bit in the next phase of life. I want to just end on a point which I've kind of mentioned already, but I think is so important. Success is not copying me. Success is not copying someone else on the internet that you follow. Success is doing exactly what makes you happy. The question isn't what you're doing it for. The question is, what are you doing? And by that I mean, this is it, the process. Sitting here at 10 p.m. at night time after a long day, podcasting, working, investing, building my business, going to the gym, difficult conversations, calling my girlfriend, looking at the hiring form, looking at pitch decks. This is it. This is the destination. And I think the sooner you realize that it's actually the process itself that is the podium, the sooner you focus on the most important thing, which is like designing a sustainable existence over the long term that you enjoy, that pushes you, that challenges you, that causes you L's and W's. And this is it. And this is why I do what I do, because I love it. I love the doing. I love the doing, and I love who I'm doing it with. Look how bad I am at videoing. Like, we need videographers. Look, this is terrible. This is terrible videography. But I'm going to record the whole episode like this until we hit 400k subs. I'm going to record the whole episode. Only mouth. Only 350k subs? Okay, deal. Only mouth. That's what you're getting. You'll get the eyes when we hit 400k. How's that sound? Well, when you edit this, please make my teeth look whiter.